darling, so hopefully this will work. I don't know if it's going to, but hopefully the rig will stand up to scrutiny, so to speak. So this is going to be episode 1 of Cooking with Thranduil, which of course is me, darlings. So, cheers. Now tonight, for dinner, I'm sort of, for a guest, making a bit of, we don't need that. Making a bit of sort of roasted vegetables. I've had this this cut tofu sort of marinating with a little bit of soy sauce for the past hour and a half. So that should be nice and tasty for them. Anyhow, darlings, let's get down to it. So the first thing, of course, you want to do is to chop your onion. So I like to cut off the 2 ends and then peel from there. So we're going to give it a bit of a chop. Now I can't zoom in, so I'm sorry about that. Hopefully, maybe perhaps next time we'll get someone in with us to sort of do all the close-ups. It's a very sharp knife, darlings, so it doesn't take very much to sort of cut through. And I have had quite a bit to drink, so some things may not end up quite sort of where you would expect them to go. So we're just breaking up the onion into just sort of more manageable pieces here. Then I'm just going to cut it in half and then just put it into slices. You know, I love when my hair gets in the way and I sort of slice into my fingernail. That's one of my absolute favorites, darling. I don't recommend it, by the way. So here we are, garlic is in, onions are in. So next thing is if you're doing potatoes, which maybe I'll do one potato. We'll just do one potato, darlings. Just going to cut it down little once, and then sort of into thirds, and here we go. And then again into thirds, and then just sort of chop it into bite-sized chunks. And there you have it, that's all it takes. Making sure to cut off both ends. Now this carrot is already peeled here in Japan. They also do it in Korea. They sell the carrots already pre-peeled, which is in some ways very nice, and in some ways you kind of worry about what they've come in contact with. So I tend to cut it into halves, going long ways, and then sort of into thirds, like I did the potato, and then I sort of make chops as such. They can be rather big, you know, they just have to be bite-sized, because when you're roasting, of course, things are going to go very quickly. You don't really have to pay attention to them, which is one of the reasons I love doing things in the oven. Of course, that's actually, I've increased the amount of sort of oven roasting that I've done as a result of how much videos I've been making. Because of course, darlings, I can start it, then do my videos, and then come back and have sort of finished meal. I'm just sort of mixing right now with my hand. I'll throw in some oil in just a moment. So the next thing we're going to do is the red pepper here. So I like to, this is a trick many people don't know about. If you just run in crosswise, and then when you peel off, you just have a little bit of seeds. The first few, sometimes you don't have anything, just a little bit of white. You can just sort of shake out the seeds, and that's all it is to it. So we're almost done now with the red pepper, or I've also heard it called paprika, even though I typically think of paprika as the actual spice, not the vegetable. But I've sort of heard it both ways, so I'm not sure what you call it at home, darling, but we normally call it red pepper. So now we've sort of got this nice mix of vegetables going on here, and this is when we are going to, I'm going to rinse these cherry tomatoes, because I just absolutely love the way tomatoes end up when they're roasted. And then I like to just go ahead and rinse all of the cherry tomatoes at the same time. You know, these containers always are so nice with the little holes that you can sort of just go for it. And I'm going to just toss these in here, darling. Just toss them in. I try to keep as little water as possible from going in, of course, because it just doesn't mix well with the oil as well, you should know. I don't know why I set up this pan. I'm actually not going to use it whatsoever. So you can see sort of with the tofu here, it's starting to get a bit of sort of a brownish color. It doesn't need to get all the way, darlings. It's just enough that it sort of has absorbed enough all the way around to sort of give it a little more of a meaty flavor. Because otherwise your protein is going to taste absolutely horrid. So that's sort of the reason we're doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and get out the frozen vegetables, and then we're going to get, well, screw that. Let's put some oil in. So I just put a little splash of that, and then I usually use a majority of olive oil. This is just what we happen to have available here. So a nice bit of olive oil. And then of course you want to season well. So I just tend to do it by hand, just because that's I just like to get sort of feel what I'm working with, and of course you want to make sure that there's enough oil that the entire pan is also getting coated. Otherwise, your vegetables will burn literally onto your pan, even if you're using sort of a stainless steel like this is. It's just such a pain to sort of deal with afterwards that I just sort of like to go for it. And so we're going to actually add some frozen vegetables now, which is mostly because the time of year it is now. It's very difficult to get the fresh. So we're going to add frozen broccoli and frozen green beans. You know, honestly, after a few glasses of wine, you can even care as long as you can pick it back up and throw it in the pan. You know, it's going to cook off anyhow. Just like the alcohol, darling, it's going to cook out. I promise. It never makes you feel like those rum cakes ever have that much rum. So, we're going to season well with salt. As well as I should probably wash off a little oil before I start using the pepper grinder, or I'll probably regret it later. Pepper. Now it looks like I'm putting a lot, but actually, darlings, it's not that much. And you sort of want to season a little more than you think it will taste good, just because, well, when you cook, well, when you roast, let's be honest, the flavors sort of deteriorate a little bit in the process, which is why I really should have probably taken half a clove of garlic to sort of give it a garlic taste. But I just wanted a little extra flavor. Besides, only raw garlic is actually very good for you, other than tasting good. So, pardon me, I just dropped a little bit of an onion there. It's all right. And then I am going to sort of give it an well, do I want Italian? Since we do have tofu. Yes, we'll do an Italian sort of flavor. So, so we're just going to sort of liberally dose everything in it. It's mostly just basil and oregano, it's a little bit of thyme, some things like that. And then I'm also going to give it, you know, it's nice to have a little bit of a spice, so I'm going to give it this, it says chili pepper, but it's really just cayenne pepper, just a few little dashes in there, just to sort of give it a little bit more flavor, because of course, darling, that's what we want, isn't it? Normally I would just use regular chili powder, but I feel like it's going to cook off. So we're going to do that, and then you just want to sort of massage it in enough that everything is coated, you know, because when you start it sort of, it looks like that, and that's just not good enough, you know. I would recommend also that you sort of give the vegetables the preheat in the oven and then add your tofu later. Of course, if you were doing real meat in here, I'd probably say that you have to do 2 roasting pans. But you know, darlings, I'm just not feeling up to all that. It's already getting quite close to the time where my guest is arriving home. So, you know, we're just going to go ahead and put this in the oven. I'm probably going to put it at about 180 degrees centigrade. I have no clue what that is in Fahrenheit. So here is our oven. It's a little disgusting right now because, of course, we bought it used. I don't know why we did that. Oh, right, it was so much cheaper. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up on a tray on the second rack. So here we are, second rack, here it goes, and we're just going to go ahead and set the oven to there we go, oven. We only have one tray, and we'll do it at 180 degrees centigrade, and you can see it's in there roasting. So that's that, and let's just leave this room alone for a while, darlings, because it will take, no, I should probably look at how long it's going to take. It's going to take 6 minutes to preheat, so that's going to give the vegetables a little bit of a chance to sort of to thaw out, and in the meantime we're just going to have a little bit to drink. Oh darlings, it's so wonderful. So let's see what happens in 6 minutes. The vegetables are just about done now. They've started their roasting process. You can see they're getting a bit green and bright. I'm going to go ahead and add our tofu to this mix. We're just going to pour it all on. The soy sauce and all. There was a little bit of ginger and minced ginger and minced garlic added to this, to the marinade. And we're going to just sort of give this a little bit of a toss here so that everything is well sort of mixed. And then I like to just throw a little bit of extra seasoning on because sometimes especially when you've added new things to it, it's not quite as potent as it once was. So another dash, of course, of salt. If you like pepper a lot, I personally don't like too much pepper, but you can go ahead and put pepper or any other herbs. I'm going to throw a little bit of actually a different Italian herb seasoning. This one has a little bit of spicy pepper to it. It says it's a pepperoncino mix, but you know, darlings, I don't really know what Japan thinks that entails. So we're going to go ahead and give that another little bit of a toss. Here we are. Mix that about. And we're going to go ahead and put this back in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. I sort of like to put it on for 15 and see how it's going, and if it needs more, sort of in 5 to 10 minute intervals, continue until it is finished. So we'll talk again when it's out of the oven. So so it looks like everything's ready to come out. So we're going to go ahead. Whew, there's a lot of steam here. So we're going to go ahead and pull it out now. And I'll show you, and then we'll make the bowl. So when you first pull it out, it looks a little bit like that. Yes, nice roasted vegetables. The tofu is nice and crispy on the outside, which is exactly what you want. And then, of course, I'll show you the final product here. Let me just serve up a bowl. And then we can show you what it should look like when you have it all sort of on top of rice. And I'm so glad that you all tuned in, and thank you also for the prompt, darling, for, you know, I just enjoy cooking so much. It's so much fun, especially with a couple glasses sort of wine. Now, I do recommend if you have a nice cheese, you can of course sprinkle that. It's good of course with pesto or any sort of herbal sauce as well. And just to show you sort of what it looks like when it's all done, there you go, all for you, darlings. So thank you so much for tuning in, and have a good night.